Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another movie review. And this time, time of me reviewing of a thriller film that I still do like. I don't hate the film. I don't hate the film. I still do like the film. I just I think it's a very decent movie, just decent. I know my mother; she's a fan of this film. I know because she likes type of films like this. She likes thrillers though, but she's a fan of it though. She told me. So the thriller film I'm talking about today is this bit is a I think it has a bit of a cult basis on this over some time, and the film was a hit when it came out. And that is of The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Released in 1992, directed by Curtis Hanson, which sadly he's now he passed away back in 2016. Sad to say, but he's directed some he's directed a lot of some pretty good movies. I know he directed the River Wild with Kevin Bacon and Meryl Streep. I like River Wild. Bad Influence, that was with James Spader and Rob Lowe. The Bedroom Window. My mom's like that. My mom likes that one too. The Bedroom Window. He directed L.A. Confidential, which that got a lot of accolades and nominations. L.A. Confidential. Then he directed Wonder Boys, 8 Mile with Eminem, which that won an Oscar for Best Song. They directed In Her Shoes, Lucky You, and the last one we did, it was back in 2012, called Chasing Mavericks. But yeah, it sucks that he's now passed on, though, so. And the film was a hit when it came out, especially, and surprisingly this film in 1992, this opened up in January, so, because I always say January is a bad month for films to make money, though, but this was surprisingly like a big hit when this came out, surprisingly, even for a release in January. And it's actually had a small budget, like about $11.7 million, and it made about $88 million domestically, and I think it made money. I think while Wikipedia is not always right, they're always changing stuff though. But I'm just going with what it says, but. Box Office Mojo has another reading numbers too though, but it did make 88 million domestically, and if you say worldwide, 140 million. So the film was no matter what, the film was a hit both ways. So, and it was it remained number one for 4 weeks in a row. So for a film like this, it's pretty impressive. And of course, this is released by a company that's now sadly no longer. It's out of the picture, basically. It's Hollywood Pictures. Because back then, Hollywood Pictures had made some good movies. The first film they released was Arachnophobia. And then, of course, one of my all-time favorites, Deep Rising, which that flopped. But they had some big hits from Hollywood Pictures, like The Rock, Michael Bay's The Rock with Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage. And, of course, their biggest hit of all time was The Sixth Sense. M. Night Shyamalan's The Sixth Sense. And then they had Mr. Holland's Opus, that was also a hit too. So, but looking at a lot of films, they had a lot of films that flopped though. So, I guess that bankrupted the company. I don't know, but I know Hollywood Pictures is no longer around anymore. Sadly, the last film was back in 2007. That was The Invisible that David S. Goyer directed. That sucked. But yeah, this was a hit for Hollywood Pictures, though, one of them. And the film stars Rebecca De Montreuil, Annabella Sciorra, Matt McCoy, and Ernie Hudson. Now I do have some issues with the film, but also the best part of this movie is Rebecca De Montreuil, who plays she goes by a different name by the name of Peyton though, but Rebecca De Montreuil, she did a really great job in this movie as this psychotic nanny. And it's basically the legit of the story is you have this family, Annabella, Sciorra, and Matt McCoy. Which Matt McCoy, I know he was in another film, horror film that I liked him in. Was called Abominable. It was a small budgeted horror film about a killer, like killer Bigfoot. It's kind of like Rear Window, but with Bigfoot basically. Matt McCoy, which his character was in the wheelchair. So, but I like Abominable. He was in that though. But Annabelle Sciorra and Matt McCoy, they have a family, has a young daughter, and she's pregnant. And when she's getting like examined by one of the doctors, a doctor, which is actually by the name of Dr. Mott, is actually played by John Delancey. Best pronounce name. That's the guy who actually played Q from the show Star Trek Next Generation. He played Q. I was like, oh yeah, I recognize him. That's the guy who played Q from Star Trek Next Generation. Because, you know, I'm a fan of Star Trek, so I watched of the original show and of the Next Generation. So I recognize, like, oh yeah, that's Q. But he's a doctor, but he's a Dr. Mott, and kind of like, you know, rubs well, it's like kind of like sexual, it's like sexually like molesting her. If you know, while examining Claire, that's Annabelle Sciorra's character, Claire. So, and she goes into her. She eventually tells her husband and reports him for this, and with the news, like several other women who are also like sexually harassed by this doctor, also come forward, and since there's a big scandal and all this, and he commits suicide. He shoots himself in the head, and his wife, Mrs. Mott, who is also pregnant. Here's this, and with all the stuff that happened with her husband's money and all that, and she could do with her pregnancy. She's forced to the hospital and she has a miscarriage, so she loses the baby. And then it takes place 6 months later, and well, before the 6 months later, she reads on more of the news that it was Claire who was the first one to report her husband in, and she was pregnant because she was pregnant, and 6 months later she has the baby, and Mrs. Mott, who goes under a different name by the name of Peyton, she goes and applies as a nanny for her family. And then from then on, you know, she, you know, basically like this picture, she wants her husband and her daughter to be her family and get her out of the picture, basically. And she also wants her newborn as well. So since she lost her baby, she'll go and takes her baby instead. And Rebecca De Mornay, I thought she did a really great job though. She was the best part of this movie. I think she did really good. You know, being as a psychotic woman, and I know I've seen her other films, like especially like Risky Business, among others. I thought she did a really great job in this movie. And Ernie Hudson, of course, Winston from Ghostbusters, but who my mother met Ernie Hudson. I made the little video of me and her meeting Ernie Hudson. And because she wanted to meet him, because my mother also she liked Ernie Hudson in this movie. I thought another good part of the movie was Ernie Hudson. I thought he also did a good job as Solomon. He's little like a little bit disabled, but he's there to work, repair, fixing up like their house, like make their fence and other things, So, but Ernie Hudson, he did a really good job in this film. It shows that he can act more than just, obvious characters, because everyone obviously will remember him as Winston. But I like Ernie Hudson in other things, especially I love him in Congo. I'm a great white hunter, although I happen to be black. Which that was an autograph I got from him of his character from Congo. Because I like how he said it. So Ernie Hudson, he was such a nice guy to meet. That's why I'm glad my mother got to meet Ernie Hudson, because she liked him in this movie. But he also did a good job too. And And also Julianne Moore, she's also has a supporting role in this as a friend of Claire. Also, what else I got? The score of the film by Graham Revell. He's been other scores I like. Well, he did for scores for From Dusk Till Dawn, the Power Rangers movie, the first one, and among other films as well. I do like the score too. And then after she was, like I said, she applies for as a nanny while they're doing other things, and slowly but surely she sees the baby. She wants the baby, and she slowly breastfeeding the baby to her instead of Claire. So Peyton is breastfeeding her baby to her with hers. And even when she likes the young daughter Emma, for one point where Emma tells of this kid bully, that bullies her. So I like when the moment where she goes and grabs that little kid's bully arm, and it says, you leave Emma alone, you understand, or I'll rip your fucking head off. It's yes. So yeah. And she goes, she likes the daughter, so she goes and takes care of that kid for her. But also, surely though, she wants to. She's slowly manipulating, as well. When Ernie Hudson, when he's painting the house, and he sees Peyton, breastfeeding Claire's baby, and he sees that, and then she notices, and she goes and confronts him, and he just, she just stares at him, giving those crazy eyes. She's like, did you like what you see? Did you like what you see? Don't fuck with me, because my version will be better. Yeah, retard. Yeah, just giving Ernie Hudson those crazy eyes. Like I said, she did a good job pulling off the crazy lady role. And she's also making other manipulations, the husband, Matt McCoy, tells her Claire to deliver this thing, and while they're at this other greenhouse, Peyton takes that envelope and just goes and tears it up and starts going to banging on the stall door in a fit of rage, and gets her in trouble, and even point of getting rid of Solomon. And one thing leads to another, that Julianne Moore, she notices about the doctor's house. I like that she noticed there was a wind chime that was given to Claire by Peyton. She notices that there was the same wind chime that was on Dr. Mott's house. And then she goes to do a little research that the photo of a funeral of the same person, that is Mrs. Mott and Peyton, are the same person. So she puts two and two together and confronts her and tells that Annabella Sciorra is in the greenhouse, which Rebecca De Mornay, she rigged the greenhouse for the roof, the glass roof, to collapse on. She meant that for Claire. But Julianne Moore steps in instead, and she just gets she triggers it, and then a bunch of the glass roof shards goes and falls right on top of Julianne Moore, killing her. And then Rebecca De Mornay, she goes and empties out Annabella Sciorra's inhalers because she's an asthma. So she goes and empties out all of her inhalers, and by the time when Annabella Sciorra sees Julianne Moore dead, she has an asthma attack, and she can't because they're all empty, so she collapses just before the paramedics arrive. And she actually to the hospital, and Rebecca De Mornay, she's kind of trying to put the moves on Matt McCoy, And but of course he, says no. Fights off her advances. And then when Claire comes back, she was wondering, well, why was Julianne Moore's character was doing before she died, and then she also does the same research and goes to the doctor's house, because she knows that the wife has a nurse. They all had a nursery, but has the same wallpaper that's Peyton put in the same nursery for her baby. So she knows now. She goes and punches her in the face and tells her that who she is and tells her to get out. And then when she comes back and hits Man McCoy in the face with a shovel and forces him over the stairs and breaks both his legs. And there's one thing with the problem one of the issues I have with the film. I mean, acting wise, Annabella Sciorra and Man McCoy, their acting was fine though, but I think the thing that lacked was in the script by Amanda Silver, because their characters themselves were, what's the word for the characters? I'm trying to think of what word that describes the characters. I'm not saying was useless. No, not useless. Weak, I probably would say, because like Rebecca De Mornay, she's the best part, and they were the weakest part, because Matt McCoy, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't fight her, because he just got his ass kicked and finally got his legs broken. And he's useless after that. And Annabella Sciorra, well, she fights Peyton though, but the first part she got her ass kicked too up until the last minute. So, I mean, they don't really do much, consider the best of fighting. Well, she's the best of fighting her. I mean, also by the end of Solomon, Ernie Hudson comes in to help rescue with the daughter and the baby. But Rebecca De Mornay, she's the best part though. She does a really good job. When she knocks out Annabella Sciorra again, knocks her out, and she goes and says, "This is my family." And then when she sees Ernie Hudson, she has the baby, and he says, "You give me back my baby, or I'll bash your skull in." And Ernie Hudson saying, "No, no." And then when she has a scuffle with Annabella Sciorra, when she's faking asthma attack, and she goes and whispers to her and say, when your husband sees it's making love, it's my face he sees, or when your baby's hungry, it's my breast that feeds him. Saying them playing the mind games with Annabella Sciorra. So. And she goes and she tackles Rebecca De Mornay and hits her head on the floor a couple of times, but she gets the advantage again. And Ernie Hudson grabs her and she hits him a couple times with the fire poker, until when Annabella Sciorra shoves her out the window, and before she falls on the roof and gets impaled by the fence, the points of the fence. And Annabella Sciorra, apologizes for Solomon because of the being falsely accused from before. So he says it's okay and all that, and he gets to hold the baby as the police comes. So yeah, it's now when I watch it again, it's the family. I say it's probably the weakest parts. I mean, Man McCoy, I understand, they want to do the part where it's the lead wife who's been going through all this. She's the one who gets to fight, not the husband. I understand that part though, for what they were trying to go with. But just I thought their characters themselves were kind of boring, I would say. I mean, the girl who plays the daughter, she's cute. Who is the who plays the daughter? I mean, she did fine too, as Emma. Madeline Zima. Cute. She was a cute kid, but I thought she did fine though. But it's the family, the whole entire family itself. What I thought was boring. But the acting part, like I said, their acting was fine too. It was just the script was lacking by Amanda Silver. I thought that's the biggest problem with the film was the script could handle with the family a bit more, especially let alone like when she first hired her as a nanny. Don't you like do any research before? I mean, how she gets hired as a nanny when she first sees her? She stops the bus because the daughter forgot her jacket. The mother went out to give it to her. Or she stops the bus and she talks to them being nice and I like children, so. Basically, always basically, you're hired because of those. But like, you don't do any research before. When she does it after, she figures it out. She figures this part after. Even Julianne Moore puts the two and two together before she does, but she dies. But and also the thing is, and also another part. I mean, Rebecca De Mornay did a good job though. But the whole reason for her revenge thing is because, I mean, the whole thing with the husband. Even though you have like unstableness, she has kind of certain unstableness. Of course, by the character you could tell. But would you think your husband would think that who's like a sexually molester for his patients? You wanna think that a little bit, and then she goes and blames it on her for what happened to her husband because she was the first to come out and say this though, But he goes and blames her. He's like, okay, I'm going to take revenge, especially I can have her baby instead since I lost mine. And that's why her motivation was also a little bit weak because it's an obvious motivation, though. But why would you blame her since your husband was the one doing all these, wrong sexual what was it? What's the word for that? I mean, not a molester, but I guess say they're trying to. The doctor was trying to sexually molest them, but just it's how that way it turned out. I mean, wouldn't your husband not know that, and then blame her for his death, and hence losing the baby too? So that's another thing. The script. I think the script by Amanda Silver could have been handled just a little bit on those certain things. But regardless, though, I thought Rebecca De Mornay, I thought she was the best part of the movie. She does a really good job. As the character of Peyton. I thought she did a really good job on that. The best part of the film. Especially when she gave Ernie Hudson those crazy eyes, And Ernie Hudson, I thought he also did a really good job as Solomon. So that was another good positive. Julianne Moore, I wish I would have seen her more in the movie. That's another thing. I like Julianne Moore as an actress. But I thought she could have been in the film just a bit more. But the score I like. The direction by Curtis Hanson was good though, but the biggest I think the main reason it was the script was the weakest part of the film for me. But regardless though, I still like the film for Rebecca De Mornay, Ernie Hudson, the score, the direction, and even Julianne Moore. I like to see her a bit more in this film though. But I know my mom is still is a fan of this film, and I don't hate the movie. I just see more of the flaws in this movie though. I don't hate it, but I still think it's a very decent movie still. And I still like it, so this is not a rant like I did when I did on E.T. though, but still I think this is a pretty decent movie. So yeah, but Rebecca De Mornay was great in this movie, and Ernie Hudson, I thought he was really great as well. And the direction by Curtis Hanson, I thought was pretty good. So I still like the Hand That Rocks the Cradle, and for what it was still has a fan base still after all these years. So I mean, it was a big hit when it came out for a small budget, even 1992. Like I said, January is usually a bad month, but this film was a hit anyway. But yeah, I think it's still pretty decent thriller. So I give it worthy of a thumbs up for it, even despite its flaws that I see now. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed my review for Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next movie review. Later.